Welcome to a summer bonus edition of the Northern Business Podcast. I'm Robb from Recognition PR, and today I'm joined by Salvia Mirza. Now, Salvia has started a new business called Resonant Consulting. She's based in Northeast England, but her clients are going to be all over the north of England and elsewhere as well. Salvia, you've relocated to Northeast England from the US. What's your background?
So basically, I am originally from the northeast of England, and I left when I was a child. And just some life changes brought me back to the northeast. And I feel that it is a growing sector that could really benefit from the kind of services that I offer.
Now, your offer is very specific because the consulting business is about something extremely topical. AI, artificial intelligence, and how it can be applied in all sorts of different business settings. So let's just ask you a big, broad question. Are there any business settings that it doesn't apply to, or can it apply everywhere?
It is actually that the sole technology that will not only apply to all business sectors, it will apply to all sectors, whether that be professional or personal. And it is something that is going to change the infrastructure of the society that we live in.
Now, I know you've been talking to businesses around the north of England. Tell us what kind of businesses and sectors you're already looking at.
Well, the implications for AI are very broad and far reaching. My interest at this point is in the manufacturing and supply chain industry, and simply because they have, over the last 30 years, been developing the infrastructure to bring in new processes and new technologies. And they have the mindset, I believe, that industry needs in order to be able to embrace this new way of doing things.
Now, your own business is a consulting business.
Yes.
Tell me the kind of approach you take with your clients and how you will advise them, because you're not actually going to devise the AI programs yourself, are you?
No, absolutely not. And we are currently in the process of working with developers and other organizations that are very much developing the APIs that for this new technology. And so we will be that middle person, the person who knows how to bring the technology that is relevant to every organization. And then we will also help them to be able to navigate the mindset and the organizational structure that they need in order to be able to process this seamlessly.
I suppose before you embark on the journey of the actual technology, you have to look at the business processes to work out where the technology will apply in the business to deliver the biggest productivity gain, because that's what it's about, isn't it? Productivity gain.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's a little bit more to it than that this time round, because although traditionally industry has been concerned with productivity, I think that a lot of people are going to be concerned with what kind of implications this has on the workforce and the way that they do business. So for me, I really want to help educate businesses and help them understand how their structure can and will eventually change and what they can do to navigate that.
Okay, so if you come into the business, are you a 21st century version of the old time and motion man that used to come into Victorian and Edwardian and early 20th century businesses to check how fast people were making things, how fast production lines came about? Is your presence in a business potentially a threat to the existing workforce, or is it an opportunity?
It is 100% an opportunity. For me, my tagline for my company is compassionate excellence. And I believe that we are going to need a lot more compassion within all environments, because, the experts, when they talk about AI and what its capabilities are, it's a lot of them the way that they mention it, they say that it's the new alpha. It's going to supersede our intelligence. It actually has in many sectors. So we are going to be in a very vulnerable position. And I would love to be able to be a person who helps navigate that.
Now, I know that there are sort of ethical debates that border on the science fiction about how AI could take over our lives. But at the moment, the technology that we're talking about is a little dumber than that, isn't it? It's about using it, but using it in a way that is constrained to the business process.
Well, we very much are in alignment with it now, right? And the thing is that it's not, I wouldn't actually use the word dumb to represent it because it is intelligent and it does understand how to synthesize and analyze information. We're at this unique position in human history, I believe, that where we actually can work together with it and understand and learn and grow and develop together. I believe there's going to become a point where it takes over the processes that we are doing and it will supersede anything that we can possibly do, but we're not there yet. It could take, some people estimate it could take 30 years to get to that point. But at the end of the day, it is the plan and the way that it's moving forward is that eventually it will be doing that.
The most high-profile dispute about AI is the current strike by Hollywood writers and actors about how AI could be used. Now, if we use that dispute as an example, both positively and negatively, on the negative side, there's actors complaining that images can be replicated and the intelligence made to use and not use extras in the way that's happening, and writers that the AI system can write basic plot lines and so on. But isn't it rational that AI should be used in those ways?
Well, it's interesting because there's workarounds for everything, right? So Getty Images is somebody that is suing OpenAI or some of the AI platforms for using their images to be able to train the data. But it's interesting because even though we have that one platform, you have Adobe, who had rights to so many images, who has actually used it from the same perspective, but they owned the rights personally. So there is that debate going on. I think that I had heard a podcast and they had suggested the story that they told was when they of the textile industry. So basically in the early 1900s, they had the textile industries and they started developing technology within the textile industries, and all of and lots of people got laid off very, very quickly. And the textile machines were able to take over the technology. And, the society had a huge problem with that. They burned down the textiles mills over and over and over again. But in the end, this technology prevailed. And now we see that most of the textiles in the world are made with textile technology. So that is the inevitability of this kind of technology. Its use and its ability to be able to do tasks in a seamless way are so much more than we can give it credit for. So yeah, the Hollywood actors are striking and I feel bad for them. I understand that their way of doing business is going to be affected, but it's much better at this point to figure out ways how we can adapt and work together rather than fight against it.
So you're going into businesses and you're going to be advising them. As our final question, give you the opportunity to explain how your business works. If you were taking an SME, an owner-managed business in the north of England, and they were asking you, Salvia, to give them advice on the next stages for technological change using AI, what process would you be doing? What kind of costs would it be? And what kind of time frame?
So basically, the initial endeavor is simply to educate, to understand what kind of AI processes you already have in place. And most organizations are already using AI. They have been using it for a very long time. So understand what kind of things that they have in place already, and then educate them as to what is coming in the pipeline for their specific industry. Right now, the only real AI tool that everybody is aware of is ChatGPT. And that is a very exciting tool and it is groundbreaking. And I think that the people who have used it understand how powerful of a technology it is. But in the platform, we're going to be seeing Microsoft Office very soon, their Copilot edition that will give us AI integrated Microsoft into every field. So all of those platforms are going to be fully AI integrated. And when that happens, we are going to understand the true capacity of what AI can do for a business and it can do for us personally. And that is when I feel as though organizations are going to be asking for services like mine and saying that, look, you need to come in and help us to be able to develop a better infrastructure to be able to deal with this. And you need to help us navigate. And they're also going to be excited about the kind of tools that are going to be available. And so I'm very much right now in the process of having conversations with people, helping them to understand that things are going to change and they're going to change very rapidly. And I'm here to help you navigate that.
Okay. And Salvia, what about time? If you're a smaller business and maybe a bit intimidated by all this, can you get some answers quite quickly? Is it a 4 or 5 week assignment, or is it a 4 or 5 month assignment? What kind of time frame can you give for your initial work?
Well, initially, what we'd like to do, like I said, is to go in and understand the infrastructure. We can do something like that in a matter of a couple of days. It could, and then when we develop the processes, just like any management consulting project, it just takes time. It is completely contingent on the business itself and just what their needs are and what kind of projects that they would like us to do for them.
So if you want to inquire about how AI works, you can contact Salvia. You're on LinkedIn, Salvia, and that's the easiest way to get you at Resonant Consulting. That's right, isn't it?
That is absolutely correct. And, currently we are in the process of developing a program where we will be giving free information to organizations where they can sign up for our information session and we can share with them a lot more details than we have here. And we will also be developing a 4-hour workshop that organizations can utilize within their company just to help educate their organization about what's happening within this infrastructure.
Well, Salvia, thank you for telling the listeners and viewers to the Northern Business Podcast Summer Special all about the business. I wish you the best of luck in launching this new enterprise, and I hope it makes a big difference to SMEs in the north of England. Thank you very much.